Welcome to Laid Back Law with your favorite lawyers from around the interwebs, discussing the most pressing of topics every Friday at noon Eastern Time.
All right. If by some miracle everything was done correctly, we are live. And starting off early with Nate and myself, I'm not sure who's coming, who's not coming. It's a holiday weekend. So everything's up in the air. Apparently today is Legal Vice's birthday, however. So happy birthday to Jeff, who is out having a good time and does not have time for us peons, but happy birthday to him. Nate, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. You know, the Baldwin trial is coming up soon, so we got that happening.
Yeah, we do. And as a matter of fact, we are testing this situation right now for the trial.
That's true, to try to figure out if we can do this massive live stream.
Yep. Let's see if okay, so interesting. I just if you'll see some names in the chat, America's Untold Stories just said a comment. Nate Bro just said a comment. This is us testing multiple channels. So the purpose of this is, well, tell them what's going to happen, Nate.
Okay, so what we plan on doing is 5 of us as attorneys are going to all stream the Baldwin trial together. And when we stream the Baldwin trial together, all of our super chats and everything are going to come to one, and then we're going to have it actually be on each one of our channels individually, so we could still have the collaborations together, but also speak to our separate audiences. So that's what we're doing right now. We're beta testing it, and it looks like it's working pretty well.
Yep, I think that it's going to work, everybody. So know what the plan is. It's myself and then 5 other people. Everything will launch out of Laid Back Law, the channel that you're sitting at right now watching. However, it will be simulcast on Nate's channel and 4 other people's channels at the same time, so different audiences can watch on whichever channel you prefer. And this will help people get exposure to all the people involved, and also give some options on, hey, where you want to watch it, where you don't want to watch it. And we're hoping this is a brand new experiment and may even be the future. We may be able to do more trials with the coordination with Laid Back Law and things like that. So I think it'll be pretty cool. This is not currently on the Nate the Lawyer YouTube channel. It's on one of his secret channels that he has stashed away.
Yeah.
All YouTubers have a couple extra channels stashed away. If anything, it's to get themselves 10 subs for their own channel.
Happy Independence Day.
Thank you. Entry required. Is this Mr. or Mrs. or both of you? Otto says, what if we don't like law? Well, you're in the wrong place,
You're in the
Otto.
wrong place. Yeah. Welcome to the wrong channel.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's in the title. It's in the title.
That is true. And today, I think we're going to have even more of the laid back than the law as we're going so far.
That is so freaking true. So, have you seen how everybody's freaking out over the Trump immunity case? It's like insane.
Okay, yeah. Can we discuss that? Because I think that there needs to be real clarification. And by the way, a lot of people are freaking out because Sotomayor's which he argued against it. I just literally lost the word. Dissent.
Yeah.
And Biden's amplifying of this, I think, are completely incorrect. And wasn't it an odd decision that the other justices just essentially made fun of her dissent?
Well, yes, but no, because then it's like you got a whole bunch of people who are galvanized by the dissents. Like I just watched Legal's video yesterday, and it's tragic because this is not one thing a lot of people don't understand. This is not a new concept in law. This concept of sovereign immunity for the person who runs the government. This is actually a concept that is worldwide. It's literally all around the world. This concept
It extends too to like ambassadors, right?
Yeah, so
other soil. It's kind of along that line too.
yes, it's actually all in the same realm. So for those of you who don't know, you guys may have heard of diplomatic immunity, and
Yes.
diplomatic immunity is a form of sovereign immunity, but it's one of those, like, one of those offshoots of sovereign immunity. But that's exactly where it develops from. So in our constitutional Republican form of government, the president is technically what's known as head of state and head of government. You'll hear me use those terms, but there are two. There's a head of state and head of government. Now, here in the United States, the president is both the head of state and the head of government. And in some of the places, they split that role. For instance, if you're in the UK, your head of state is the king, and your head of government is your prime minister. Now, the prime minister is the person who runs the day-to-day operations, but your king is the person who does all that ceremonial stuff. They'll go in, you'll have your cathedral that needs to be honored, and those days. So that's what your head of state does. Now, when it comes to this type of immunity we're talking about, it derives from the diplomatic immunity. In terms of, I send someone on my behalf as a sovereign of this country to your country to negotiate on my behalf. So that's why that person, while in that country, can't be arrested, can't be charged, even if they kill somebody, right? They can violate any law there. The worst you can do is take them, send them back to their own country. Yeah. So that's the power of diplomatic immunity. When you now look at the United States, we obviously don't have kings and queens, but we do have the head of state and head of government, but that person role is all in one place. So here, the head of government and the head of state is the person who prosecutes people for violating a law. That's our president. So let's say, for instance, someone kills someone. Generally, we think of the attorney general and the FBI agents and all those people as the people who actually do the work of locking a person up. But all of their authority derives from the president.
It's delegated. Yeah.
Yes. So the president delegates that authority to those people who actually, so that FBI agent who does the arrest, his authority to do that comes from the president of the United States. The authority for the prosecutors to prosecute those cases, their authority derives from the president of the United States.
Right.
So if the president, so if a crime is committed by the president himself, essentially you have this weird position where the president has to prosecute himself for the crime. So that's the issue with having. That's why generally presidents and heads of state do not have, can't be held accountable for crimes while they're in office, because they would literally have to prosecute themselves. The Constitution's mechanism.
Yeah, let me answer this chat real quickly because it kind of goes in there. How come presidents never needed immunity till convicted felon Trump?
I'll explain that.
I know. I was going to say, because they always have had it. It's just being codified now.
Yes. And I'll even go over a couple of cases that alluded to it, but obviously it's going to be different. So let's talk about. So I was speaking about. Well, let me just answer that question directly. So generally, back in when Nixon was president. Well, first, you know what? Let me, because I'm out. Instead of answering, I was going to answer that question, but I think I still need to give it a little.
Yeah, finish out the other. No, that's cool.
Yes. Oh, Dani, what's up?
Oh, all right. This overlay might not work well for the three of us.
Dani,
you all right?
Dani, what's up?
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the after party from the 4th of July.
Oh.
I had too much of a party last night. We hung out till late. We found this spot overlooking all of Salt Lake Valley, and there were just fireworks until like 3 a.m. And I don't know how it's legal, but I'm not necessarily upset. So,
all right.
No, I was just going over the presidential immunity issue. But essentially, so the president can't prosecute himself. But anyway, so what eventually happens is that the president, while in office, cannot be prosecuted, cannot be charged. None of that stuff can happen. And that's a point that's always been out there while the president is in office. So what we're talking about is when a president leaves office, can the president be charged for things that happened while he was in office? Now, there have been a couple of cases that have come through the Supreme Court on the civil side. The first one I'll bring up to you is Clinton v. Jones. That was one of the first cases that dealt with this immunity from prosecution, even while in office. And in that case, the Supreme Court said, well, the president does not have immunity from the Paula Jones case. That's why he had to sit for that deposition that essentially led to his impeachment. But in that particular case, they said the acts against Paula Jones, number one, didn't occur while he was president, and they were personal acts. So for that, he is not immune. You know, this wasn't stuff that he was doing in office. He's not immune for those acts because they had nothing to do with his presidency. And before that, there was a case called from, I'm not sure if it's Fitzgerald versus Nixon or Nixon versus Fitzgerald, but there was another case before that that stood for that similar proposition. And with President Nixon, someone was fired from their job as a federal employee, and they sued Nixon after he left the presidency because that firing was found to be illegal. He tried to sue Nixon personally, but the Supreme Court in that case said Nixon has an absolute privilege because he was exercising his constitutional authority to fire the person. So even if you don't believe the firing was legit or whatever, he is still absolutely immune from that firing. So you had two cases that really spoke to the civil aspect to it. If it's constitutional, if he's exercising his constitutional authority, he's absolutely immune from civil. But if he's not, then he could be held liable in civil. And Jones was for that. But we didn't have anything that spoke to the criminal aspect of it. So now fast forward to Trump. Now with Trump, everything goes off the rails. When the civil aspect for it, that was all in place. But Trump was alleged to have committed crimes while he was in office. So the process had always been for all that time is that there was a difference between, I used to call them ministerial acts, but official acts versus non-official acts. If it's an official act as president, for instance, when Obama ordered the murder of an American citizen overseas through a drone strike, that's technically illegal, right? That's technically a crime. He ordered the murder of an American citizen. That guy had no due process. It was a drone strike. But because he was doing it as president, he was immune to it. And this immunity also, a lot of people don't realize this, also applies to Joe Biden. All the stuff Joe Biden's doing, we're talking about the Biden crime family while he's in office. Well, if he's doing things illegal in office, it applies to Joe Biden because he is currently the president. So he can't be prosecuted for anything. And even when he's a former president, things that he's done that are considered official acts would also be immune. But now with the Trump case, the difference is that there's official acts which are immune and there are non-official acts which are not immune, but there's this middle ground. And that middle ground is things that are quasi-official, but really not official. You know, one of the things the Supreme Court pointed to in the ruling was the president tried to put pressure on the vice president to not certify the election results. And the court said, well, that technically isn't within his constitutional authority, but he's doing it while president in this role. So it's kind of like this quasi-official thing.
It's a political capacity, Nate.
Yes.
I think that's the difference, because if he's dealing with it as the election, you can't get any more within the duties other than the election itself, and that would be political, and therefore it would be tied to constitutional, or at least adjacent, right?
Well, the way that I read it, Nate, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I read the entire opinion, which is something I rarely ever do. But when I read through it, they said these quasi-official acts are acts where the president shares power or shares authority with Congress. So the official acts are things that are power given to him through the Constitution or directly given to him by Congress. So things that would fall directly under his absolute immunity are authorities that are bestowed upon him by Congress or by the Constitution, and he's good. He has absolute immunity. Now, where he shares where he shares authority with Congress, that's where it becomes semi-official. And then any act outside of the perimeters of what is bestowed upon him or her by the Constitution or by statute, that's where they're acting in an unofficial capacity.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And when it comes to these possible, whether the act is an official act or not official act, that has to now be determined by a judge reviewing it and determining if they can if this is going to be immune from prosecution as an official act or not immune from or be a unofficial act. Now, it's interesting because the presumption, the court then lays out the presumption. It's going to be presumed to be official if he's acting as president, if he's giving a speech, if he's doing it, you're going to presume, and then it's on the government, which in all of the cases, it's also the government's burden to show that these acts are not official. So essentially, the Supreme Court says, okay, it's going to be on you to show us that these acts aren't official. The government has a burden to bear, especially when you're talking about a former president. So essentially, what they did was just codify the issue that a president, because of separation of powers, the president, who's the person, is the chief executive, is the person who does the arresting, does the prosecuting, does all that, essentially is immune while president. And then after that, if those acts that he committed while president, if they're in his official capacity, he is immune to it. So they've sent this back down to the lower courts to determine whether the acts are official and are not official. Now, what most people aren't talking about is the Supreme Court actually ruled that one of the acts that the president did was non-official and could be prosecuted for. It was the one, I believe, when he was speaking to private parties about the electors. They said that the Trump team conceded that they were not official acts, so that he could be prosecuted for. But then there was another act where they said he couldn't be prosecuted for, and that was him threatening to fire the attorney general, because hiring and firing the attorney general is within his constitutional authority. So that is immune from prosecution.
Go ahead,
Dani.
Jenny.
You were trying
Sorry.
to say.
So my read on it wasn't necessarily that they said, okay, this is definitely an unofficial act. I think the fight is going to be, at least with the discussions with the private parties, it's going to be whether or not it falls under that perimeter, right? That outer perimeter of what qualifies as an official act. I think at the end of the day, though, what the court's going to have to look at is they're going to have to do serious consideration. I love that the court put the burden in the way that they did. They said, look, if you are infringing on the authority of the office, if what act you are punishing, what you are criminalizing, would take away authority from the executive branch, you have to really seriously think whether or not that's something you want to do. And if you are taking away authority from the executive branch via the justice courts, right, then what you are doing is, if that's what you're doing, then you have not overcome your presumption. And you can't punish them criminally for that act. And so that's how the presumption works. He is presumed to be immune. But if you can't overcome the presumption that if I punish them for this act, I'll be taking away the power of the executive branch. If you're doing that, then the court said that's a no-go. And I like that standard because, my little brother actually put it really well. He said, can cops lie, right? Can cops lie to you? Can cops do these things that are normally illegal? That's a really concrete way for people to envision this. Yes. The answer is yes, cops can do that. But their immunity is very limited. It's not the same as the president. The president has a lot more immunity because there's a lot more acts that we entrust on the executive branch, on the executive, than we ever would on a police officer. And you know what? There's a ton of political. Oh.
By the way, Dani, only the police can lie in the U.S. They cannot in Europe and England and other countries. So thought I'd point that out. There are differences.
Right. And there are differences. But at least with our form of government, we have political means to punish the president or the executive if we don't like them. Okay. We can get them out of office. We can impeach them. We can basically put in a president who will fire all of the executives that they put in place while they were in charge of the administrative state. There are ways to punish the president that don't require us to go the step of criminally punishing the president. And this is, by the
Well,
way,
we
this
still
is
can,
not,
though, from what I understand. That's the whole point of the
oh
impeachment
yeah,
and the trial, is that they are immune, and then the impeachment and trying strips said immunity, then they're convicted after they're stripped of all their authority. There's a mechanism in place,
it will
from what I
certainly
understand.
help. It will certainly help with the court case, especially because if Congress is coming in and saying what you did was not considered an official act, this is outside of the scope of your authority, then that's pretty strong evidence if you're going against the president in a criminal capacity. But regardless, this is not new law, and I want people to understand this. This is the implicit way in which the Constitution works. If we have an executive branch that's there to enforce the laws, if we have a legislative branch that makes the laws, and we have a judicial branch that interprets those laws, it would make sense that the one that's doing the enforcing would have special immunity that others might not have. And it's an unspoken immunity. I don't even know why we're at this point. I don't know how we got here. And I think the justices felt much the same way. And like Nate, the lawyer, was saying, when you look back at what is the name of that case, Nate?
You're talking about Clinton?
No, I'm talking about Obama when he killed 2 American citizens in Yemen.
Yeah. He was
So in that case didn't even make it close to the Supreme Court. That case didn't make it out of the appeals court. Both the lower courts shut it down, not on the basis of presidential immunity. They didn't even go that far. They said, look, first of all, he doesn't have standing to assert these claims against the U.S., because the grandfather brought the case. But second of all, even if he did, there's something called the state secret privilege, which is beyond me. There's this privilege that applies to like the CIA and NSA, that when they're operating, carrying out, secret missions, they don't need to divulge certain things, and they don't need to give notice, and they don't have to go through the same due process steps that everyone else does. And the court in that case said the due process that was done behind the scenes was enough. And what was that due process? It was very, very little. It was basically the CIA or NSA developed a target. They sent the target over to the president. The president had literally what would be called a kill list, and he just went down the list and approved strikes. So
yeah, and that's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah.
Well, here is the part when I mentioned this is from the ruling. President has exclusive authority over the investigative and prosecutorial function of the Justice Department and its officials, because presidents cannot be prosecuted for conduct within his executive constitutional authority. Trump is absolutely immune from prosecution for the alleged conduct involving his discussions with the Justice Department officials. So to me, that takes that off the board, right? They're saying because he threatened to fire the attorney, this time was the acting attorney general. Then he can't. So they give you a clear example of, in the indictment, he is immune for this action. But later on, there's a piece where they say he's not, because he said their lawyers conceded that this was a private act. So even here, there's a little, a lot of people are saying this is a total win for Trump, which I do think most of it is probably a win for Trump.
Oh, it's in his
There are
face.
some pieces in here that are concerning.
He's not immune
the Trump team
of everything. It's definitely an overall win for him, but yeah, it doesn't give. I guess my issue is it doesn't give him carte blanche to do anything he wants. Period. There are limitations. They did say unofficial acts that they can still go after him. Correct?
Yes.
And we kind of need that, because I hate to say, you're bringing up Obama. That's a fair comparison. Obviously, he's on the other side politically, and then Trump, but he did drone strike people, and that's part of his carrying out his duties how he sees fit. We may not agree, we may hate it, but he was elected as president to do that, and that's it. It's questionable whether he's breaking the law or not.
I think the main thing here is you need to, we as Americans need to consider what we want the president to have power over. If you are not a fan of this discussion, if this opinion makes you feel icky inside, guess what? It made a lot of founders feel icky inside, and that's why they created the divisions between the lawmaking, law enforcement, and interpreting capacities of the three branches of government. So if you feel icky inside, maybe you should consider a little bit more about whether or not you're a fan of the administrative state, how much power you want to give over to the executive branch, and holding Congress accountable for the more and more power that they delegate over to the president and to the executive branch. As long as there's still power flowing to the flowing over to the federal agencies, you're going to have really large blankets of immunity for the government and for government acts, especially for the president. So there's ways around this. There are things to do, and one of the main things you have to do is go and vote, go and make sure that you're following your political processes, because there are remedies available to you politically that may not be available to you legally speaking.
And by the way, somebody pointed out, what about Bush? Okay, yeah, Bush, the same thing. It's the president. Be it Bush, be it Obama, be it Biden. It's the president and
FDR.
immunity. FDR. We can go on and on, folks. I mean,
FDR is a huge one because everybody was so mad. Everybody was like, "Oh, well, can you imprison a bunch of Japanese Americans without recourse?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's already been done. FDR did it with Korematsu, and that's still supposedly good law because it's never been overturned. There's been some dicta about it, but it's not like people were throwing FDR in jail, although I arguably think he should have been." So sorry, I interrupted you, Nate.
Oh no, you didn't interrupt me. I'm just listening.
Yeah, we've got some strident people in the chat. That's for sure.
I do want to ask. I would like to ask though. What do you guys think about the argument? So there's an argument on the other side is twofold. Number one, they say that that analogizing the president's sovereign immunity, because he's the head of state and head of government, is different here in the United States because we don't recognize our president as a king. We recognize our president as a citizen who's just essentially has a job to do, and that job is president. So analogizing the sovereign immunity piece of this to England, to Canada, to any of these other countries may not be appropriate. And the second one is that the argument is that a president who commits a crime shouldn't be immune. They should not be able to be prosecuted while in office. They agree with that, but they shouldn't be immune from prosecution because let's say a president kills someone while in office. They can't be prosecuted for that at that particular time, but then they could be impeached. The House impeaches them and then they'll be removed from office. Then after that removal, the authorities could essentially prosecute the president for crimes committed in office. So their argument is essentially, what their argument is that, and please don't hate me for saying this, but their argument is that the conservatives are doing the same thing they complain that liberals do. They are making up the law in this instance. It's not in a document. You can't show it to me. And the only thing you're doing is grasping at straws. There's no immunity for the president, just like there was no abortion in there, and that's the argument. There's abortion's not in the Constitution. Why are we doing it? So there's no immunity in the Constitution for this. So why are we doing this? So essentially they're saying that us as conservatives are making the same leak as liberals are doing with this, and we're trying to have our cake and eat it too. I know that was a lot, but that's the argument, and essentially that's Legal Eagles video.
No, I could see that argument because it's not explicitly spelled out, but again, it's because it doesn't need to be. It's very clear. And no one has attempted this before because it's so clear. It's like,
because everybody kind of knew it. I think it was like a gentleman's agreement, so to speak. It was like, we're not going to go after you because you don't go after us, and they just move forward. They just assumed
because if an official act is exactly what is spelled out for the authority of the president, that's what constitutes an official act. That's what the court found. Anything that is explicitly spelled out in the Constitution or by statute, if the president is acting in that authority, that's an official act. So he has carte blanche immunity because that's what we are asking him to do or her to do. They are carrying out the function of the office. And if you are criminalizing them carrying out the function of the office, then they have no authority at all.
Just to jump in a little bit, I know I'm new here right now, but the bottom line is an official act is by definition a legal act. And therefore, that's one of the points that everyone talks about. Oh my gosh, the president can go murder someone and all this stuff. No. That would not be constitute an official act. And as a result, he would not get immunity for that. And then the other point that I just want to bring up, which literally no one is talking about, this applies to federal law.
Yes.
It's not, there's no agreement. And frankly, my opinion is it does not apply to state law. So state law criminal prosecutions can take place after the president has left office. So to me, this is not as revolutionary as a lot of the left wants to make it.
So Ian, with that point, let's talk the Georgia prosecution, right? Let's say president, he's in there talking to the attorney general about whatever. I'm investigating you guys for this. So are you saying a state could say, well, the president while in office committed this crime and then prosecute the president for that state, and that immunity wouldn't apply to that state prosecution?
I'm saying, yes, that's what the law allows to this point in time. I don't know if things will change, but yes, as of now, those state law prosecutions can go forward.
Kurt, you seem to have a different opinion.
No, I don't think that's right, because the Constitution or the federal law is giving power to the federal government, and there's long-standing doctrine that the states cannot make criminal that what the federal government does this. We've seen this before in other contexts, for example, where an FBI official, for example, comes into a state to effectuate federal law, and some state official tries to arrest the FBI guy for doing the FBI's job. It's like, no, you can't do that. The federal government is the one giving him the power, and you can't interfere with his ability to do his role. You have to allow him to do his role. You don't necessarily have to help, but you can't interfere.
But so it's an issue of fact relating to official duties at that point. And my point is this: we could go through hypotheticals all day long. The bottom line is we could come up with a set of facts that would allow a president to be prosecuted, even in the face of this SCOTUS immunity ruling. I don't think you're of the opinion, Kurt, that he could not be prosecuted by the state at all. But this ruling makes it not prosecutable by the state for official acts?
Yeah, that's what I would say, because the immunity in question is immunity that's coming as a result of his federal function.
Yeah,
and so the state's ability
to take that from the SCOTUS decision. I dare you to go to the opinion and find me any discussion concerning state law.
Well, I wonder if it's a implication though, Ian. Wouldn't it be preempted? Wouldn't whatever state law dealing with the criminality of a presidential act be preempted by the federal government?
Yeah,
well, there's certainly an argument for that, but I got to tell you, these state law prosecutions are going to continue. There's no indication that they're just done.
Sure, I agree with that. 100% agree with that. I think preemption and the prior decisions on preemption would end up.
Now, here's the point too. I mean, I want to make sure, and I do this a lot on X. I want to distinguish between what I believe and what I think the law says right now. And I think that there is wiggle room at this point when it comes to state law prosecutions after the president is out of office. Do I believe that the immunity ruling should apply? I am with you, Dani. I am with you, Kurt. This is momentous. We need no president is above the law. Maybe they are to a certain extent. And the reason why is they're so impactful in the world at large, and they need a lot of discretion to do certain things, especially with checks like the impeachment power. So I guess what I want to make sure you understand is, if I'm being called upon to say, is there wiggle room, Ian, on this state law issue? I'm going to probably say yes. If you're saying, Ian, what should be, then I think I'm with you guys.
Yeah, the only reason why I would disagree is because they use the term absolute immunity. Yeah. And to me, that's pretty all encompassing in terms of the application of the official acts to even state law. So it would be hard for me, because and obviously I think Ian's 100% correct. I think you have to interpret the ruling to get to that point. So Ian, what you're saying is 100% correct. But I do think a fair interpretation of what they're saying seems to strongly suggest that if a state, for instance, in the Obama case, if a state says, well, hey, that was a citizen out of our state that you sent the drones to kill, so we're going to prosecute you for that official act. I would think based on this ruling, it's a strong argument that that would be a no-go because of the supremacy clause, federal law and the role of the president.
No, in response to your question, Ian, I would cite, for example, In re Nagel, 1890. In that case, a federal marshal shot what turned out to be an unarmed individual in defense of a Supreme Court justice. And the state tried to prosecute him for murder on the basis that the person wound up to be unarmed. The U.S. Supreme Court in 1890 said that if the official is performing a federal act that's authorized by federal law and the actions are necessary and proper to fulfilling that duty, the federal officer is immune from prosecution under state law as well as federal. So I would think that the ruling of the U.S. Supreme Court, which is on the same basis, like the idea is that the president is performing an official act, so it's authorized by federal law, and the necessary and proper clause gets you pretty far. So I think the immunity must necessarily also apply to state law for those same acts.
Okay. I mean, we can go back and forth. I think that there may be, would you ever view the situation where there would be something that would, well, I'm just trying to think about what an official act would be. Could a state define official act to be broader than the feds? Could there be a situation? Yeah. Okay.
Well, I suppose they could, because at that point they're giving him more immunity than he's otherwise entitled to.
No, because that would be the same as the state acting federally. That's the problem. If the state were to do that, it would be like granting extra power to enforce their own state laws. So, for example, Utah can't go build a giant, gorgeous wall at our southern border to prevent, illegal immigration from Arizona up to Salt Lake City. That's a problem, right? So these are still highly contentious issues. I'm not saying I disagree with you entirely, Ian. I think you're right. I think from a lawyer and analysis standpoint, as someone who doesn't care about the cases, I think it's fair to say that there's going to be a lot of litigation on that front, and I think states are going to try and do it.
I was going to say, like, what if you made a crime in Louisiana for any official or anybody, frankly, to contact the electors, within 14 days of when they vote. You could argue that that's an official act if President Trump contacted these people, but you could also argue that it was a crime under Louisiana law. Or you could construe it as not an official act because it's technically illegal in Louisiana. I guess what I'm trying to do is the
federal law is going to govern here. Because the nature of the immunity is federal. The nature of the official act is federal. So the question is the federal interpretation. So but Louisiana could arguably say the president is entitled to more immunity than the federal government would give him, because what would be the conflict at that point? But if they try to give him less, the federal law is going to obviously govern.
Oh, interesting. So Ian, to your hypothetical, I thought you were talking about laws like the one, where was it? Was it Missouri or Arkansas, where you can't put a ice cream cone in your back pocket? That's illegal. I think if the president were there and had put,
that's a really good point.
I think if the president is there and puts an ice cream cone in his back pocket, right? I think he could probably be criminally liable there.
Okay. All right. Well, see, that's what I'm trying to say.
For presidents,
I think that's what you were trying to say. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, definitely criminalize him.
It's not an official act. There's no dispute about that.
Some presidents are more likely to put an ice cream cone in their back pocket than other presidents.
Well said, Kurt. Well said.
You know what? Let's move on to our good friend and conservative of the year, Alec Baldwin. Oh my God. His trial is coming up next week. Now I want to say it's rare that we have an anti-gun nut on trial for shooting someone in an unsafe environment with the gun, but we have that. So with Alec Baldwin, first, let's do predictions. Is he going to be? Do you believe, based on the evidence we've seen now, without the presentation of the prosecutor, are we at guilty or not guilty? Let's start from the bottom up. Dani, let us know. What are you thinking? Conviction? Or right now, from everything you know, would you convict? And why?
Oh,
not?
hell yeah.
So why?
Absolutely. And Ian, I like what you said earlier, where you have to say, okay, here's the argument to be made. Here's the legal side of things. Here's the argument I agree with, and here's what I believe is true. The whole time I was arguing on behalf of the legal argument, defense's argument in Hannah Gutierrez's trial, right? I'm like, but what about this? And what about this? And why is he not bringing up this? I don't actually think that she should have been let go. But what I do know is if she was held criminally liable, he should absolutely be held criminally liable. That's it.
Ooh, Kurt.
I don't know what their theories of the case are and how it's going to be presided, but in my own head, in sort of how I would present both sides of the case, I think I'd be leaning towards not guilty. The requisite issue here is the mens rea, because we have to find at least recklessness. So the question is he reckless? If the defense is, I'm just an actor and I rely on professionals for all kinds of reasons. I rely on the safety people to do safety people. I don't test every kind of safety equipment. I just rely on them because that's their job. So if the idea is that he could reasonably rely, and reasonably is the key because that would make it not reckless, if he could reasonably rely on the professionals who made the representation to him, then he was not in reckless disregard. So I think I think I might be leaning not guilty.
So we got a split just of the first two people. Oh my God. Go ahead, Ian. Tell us what you think.
Well, listen, I don't have much more to say than what Kurt said. I tend to believe the same thing. I don't have more facts to judge the situation, but I think Kurt is absolutely right. He's entitled to rely upon experts' statements and opinions and representations.
All right, Eric, this is right in Eric's wheelhouse. So
Yeah, I've
Eric,
got about 30 videos
video
on this case. I am truly torn. And the reason is that you're dealing with Alec Baldwin. Now, let me go back in time. If Alec Baldwin shut his mouth and didn't do anything, I don't think he'd even be tried now. I think that this character, he throws a lot of problems in there. He has a crack legal team with Alex Spiro, who, apparently top lawyer in the country. However, Alex Spiro's going about in a way who's treating the locals like flyover country and pissing them off. This is problematic. So I just don't know. I think that Alec Baldwin had a great shot of doing it just by saying, I felt terrible. I did the armor. Look, the armor, she's convicted. The first AD, he's convicted. You got the people. What do you want? You're picking on me because I got a big name and a lot of money. That's it. Leave me alone. I am already suffering. Whatever. He could have done that whole routine. But there's so many problems with him. Like if you look at his police interrogation, the guy gave a master class on ammunition. Okay. So we knew it in and out.
Yeah. Which doesn't help because it goes all to his knowledge. He's proving he has all this wonderful knowledge. So a lot of these defenses I've built up in my head are some degree shot, haha, pun intended, by his own confession to the police. So that's fun and exciting. Don't talk to the police.
Plus decades of experience as an actor working with
that too.
armors.
His father was a rifle instructor. For God's sake, it's in his family. He was pointing at other people right prior to they have shots of him shooting at people, neglecting. They have shots of him ignoring Hannah Gutierrez Reed's training requests. He was the power behind the scenes, being an executive producer. Now, he was not a working producer, so to speak. He was executive, but he did have immense power. Everybody kowtows to the lead. I mean, he was the guy. And I just, it can go, it really, I think, can go either way. It can be argued either way, but
I think it depends on the quality of the legal representation, the quality of the argument, and exactly what arguments and exactly what evidence they bring to bear. If they both bring the case that I have in my head, it could be interesting. If not, well, then it all goes to hell.
If I was a juror and I saw that video of him firing after they called cut and him saying, God damn it, and going off the handle and just firing his gun around.
And move.
Yes, because that takes him into purely negligent territory. This guy did not care about anyone. He knew of the risk. He appreciated the risk, didn't give a shit. And that's the thing. That's what it comes down to me. And he's the one who altered the script that day, right? He's the one who said, no, we're going to film this scene. And everybody said, well, wait, shouldn't the armorer be there? Wait a second. Hold on. Are we going to film this next scene? That wasn't in the script that day. And he had her get down for that thought. That's the problem.
The script wasn't changed. Like the script wasn't that didn't happen. Like
he had her move in front so that they could get the shot of him pulling the gun out of his.
There's more to it, Dani. There's more to it because what happened was the camera crew walked that morning and they
Yep.
were bringing in more camera crew. One of the people in the camera crew, though, was who ran what they call Video Village. Video Village is normally where the cinematographer would stand and watch the scene being filmed. This was preparation for the following shot, but they were going to be doing the shootout that day. That was on the schedule, as far as I know. And the Video Village being down situation is what put Helena in the line of fire, so to speak. So there's a lot of factors there, but I don't believe that Baldwin himself changed the order of, I think the circumstances changed the order of or contributed and slowed things down.
Sure, I think that can be argued, but I remember distinctly testimony being given at Hannah Gutierrez's trial that it was Baldwin who asked her to change positions. So we'll have to see what evidence comes out in this trial, but that's what I remember hearing from at least two separate witnesses who were there.
Oh, by the way, there's a witness. This one's a big one. There is a witness, and it was a defense witness that they put up that they tried to get off of the list after the prosecution found out that this defense witness witnessed Alec Baldwin pull the trigger at that time. That is a major problem, and it's hilarious because it was a defense witness, and they tried to get the witness struck and everything else. The judge ruled against them. I think this was about 2 weeks ago. I forgot about that, but I think that's a major problem and point for Baldwin.
Well, the good thing is that what I did was go into my my former law school minded place, and I said, you know what, I'll go and pull out the law from New Mexico. So generally for criminal activity, you got the actus reus and mens rea, and I think in this particular case, I think the actus reus is pretty much, it is what it is, right? I don't think anybody's going to say that any of that was anything with the actus reus was, oops, let me put this back on the screen, that the actus reus, there was an unintentional killing and the defendant created the unjustifiable risk by pointing the gun at the person. But the mens rea is probably going to be the argument. And what it seems like is that was Baldwin aware of this risk and did he disregard it? And in this particular case, it seems like, based on what Baldwin has been saying, because Baldwin said he was aware there was a risk. He was aware how dangerous it was. He would never point the gun at someone and pull the trigger. He was aware of all this, and he seems to have disregarded it. So is there an exception? Because essentially they're arguing exception in the law here, right? There's this mitigating exception that because I had someone else check at the armorer, that relieves me of my duty to actually check the weapon. And that's essentially what he's being prosecuted for. Do you think that's enough to win? Here's actually, I have the code from the case. Here it is. In New Mexico, the state must show that criminal negligence to convict that 1, the defendant willfully disregarded the victim's safety, and 2, subjectively was aware of the danger or the risk and his actions posed to the victim, so he hereby acted in criminal negligence. Does that fit? Is this a 50-50 or do you think Baldwin, because this is what a fight is.
Hey, Nate, I was going to ask you, do you know what subjectively aware means? Like, is the jury supposed to hear testimony based from Alec Baldwin in order to prove that?
I'm not sure. It says subjectively aware of the danger. And I think when you're talking about firearms, there's this, it's almost given that you would be aware that there would.
But see, this is what I'm saying about the defense, because I can attack subjective awareness.
I agree.
Because it's like I might be able to make the case. It's like in the same way he trusts his safety personnel and trusts the people that do the rigging and trust the people who run the electrical cables to make sure that there's not going to be an electrical short and all the rest of it. The stunt coordinators, he trusts a lot of people to do a lot of things. So if he was told cold gun, and assuming the premise that it was done in a way that would be reliable and he was just simply relying on the representation, then his subjective awareness element seems problematic.
I agree. And what I'm starting to think is they're not going to be able to prove the elements of the case. I mean, the bottom line is,
I don't know, because you've got truckloads of his own mouth in police interrogation.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
Not
Yeah,
only
just
that,
saying.
not only that, if everybody was fired on set earlier that day or they walked specifically because of safety reasons that he was very well aware of, and he ran his own mouth in multiple interviews saying that he was aware of the safety issues and that's why
Maybe.
everybody was leaving
Could
the
be.
next morning. That was the night before he was aware of that. So you're telling me that he suddenly just didn't know that there were safety issues on set the next morning?
Well,
Ultimately, and on top of that, he's a producer. Okay. It's his duty to know
Yeah.
whether or not he's acting as a producer in the moment. It's still his duty to at least have some level of care that's greater than a regular actor in the same scenario.
I have one question. I pray somebody asks it during the trial because I think it's the biggest question. Alec Baldwin, would you have pointed this at your own head and pulled the trigger?
Oh dear.
I mean, that quite
You actually
literally.
call for hypothetical speculation.
Yeah. You can
Yeah.
object all day, but
I
I
agree
think it
with
is.
you, Eric. If I were the prosecutor, I'd go for it.
Or even on an opening or closing statement, do you think he would have pointed it at his own head?
I don't know. Well, here's a clip and this is of Alec Baldwin says that he was aware of the risk and they were constantly checking the gun. So how does this, and this is his police interrogation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I am going to just play this because this obviously is going to be played at this trial.
Oh, yes.
Here is him saying that. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
Can you full screen it?
Let me check.
Okay.
And they'll have two people check for this very reason that we don't have any forget about live rounds of bullets, that we have any flash rounds in the gun while we're rehearsing. Because if someone wants to indicate, and they're not thinking, they pull the trigger on the gun, you just hear the hammer, the dead sound of the hammer hitting, and you have no flash rounds at all in there for the rehearsal. The rehearsal gun should be empty.
Okay.
And as I said, for the 2 weeks I've been shooting, it has been empty. We haven't had one problem.
And have you physically checked that, or just by?
She announces to me that it's clean.
Okay.
She'll say, cold gun, we rehearse. Then when she's done, she takes the gun, goes off to a corner. She has a kit, like a zip fanny pack with her elements in there. She puts the flash rounds in there. She'll say, quarter load, but it's a lower sound. Or she'll say full load. And if you're the crew and you're shooting me close, therefore I say the full load, it is rather loud. It's very loud.
Okay. Anyway, everybody should check out that interview.
That's good
I
evidence.
have been on America's Untold Stories, by the way.
So just for that piece, he's saying that he is aware of the risk, but not a risk of obviously bullets, but a flash round that could be hurt, blah, 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 blah. And that's why they all check it. Now, there is another clip where he says before the fatal shooting, when he was handed the gun, he was told to check it. And he said he did not check it.
Oh.
He was told by the armor to check the gun. So I'll play that. Let me just pull it up. But what do you guys think about what you've just heard? Does this make the prosecution?
She's always announcing what's going to happen.
Hold on. Can you share the screen, Nate? Pull it up.
I mean,
hold on.
it sounded more like the defense line of argument. It's like,
Yeah,
they tell me to hold
that's
on,
good
and
for the
she has
defense.
the tools that she
Yeah.
checks it, and it sounds more like a defense line of argument to me.
Hold on. So I'll pull up the part where he says she asked him to check, and he says no.
There we go. Do you want me to check?
Yeah, I got it.
That's right, because he didn't want
I came in
to.
slightly later, so they had a couple of shots without me in the morning, so I came in at, I guess I arrived there at like about 7:45.
Okay.
Normally I'm there at like 6:30.
All right. And then anything abnormal in the day? Who handed you your weapon in the day?
Hannah
Handed it. Okay. And physically handed or put it in the holster?
handed it to me.
Okay.
She would show me the gun,
Okay.
or she'd say, cold gun. She'd say, test it, or some language to indicate, as she handed me the gun, that it was fine. And she'd say, do you want to check? And I always didn't want to insult her. I said, because we never had a problem.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm good. So, and the first AD very often will ask, periodically, he'll say, let me check.
Okay.
And they'll have
Go ahead
two
and pause,
people.
Nate.
That sounds pretty damning to me. That sounds like someone who was aware, who was asked to check the gun, who was given a gun, said, do you want to check? And who says, hey,
I trust you. I trust you. Yeah, no worries.
That
Now, question,
that
though.
seems closer to That doesn't seem
Was
as
he
clean as it.
Was he saying that he was asked to check, or was he saying he would have asked her to check?
No, so he said that she hands him the gun, and and she says before he does anything, "Do you want to check it to make sure it's okay?" And he says, "No, I'm not going to check it because I don't want to offend you." And then goes on, and then whatever happened.
Okay, maybe I
number
misheard it then.
two.
So let me play it again.
Okay, this is a valid point that you guys have to consider too. This is at the time he said Hannah, always Hannah. It changed and it became Dave Hall's later. After this, which is a weird one.
Yeah.
They started. I came in slightly later.
I'll play the clip again, but let me see. Is it too hard to hear? Should I turn it up?
No, yeah, the volume's fine. Just it's awkward wording. So you want to hear it again.
Play it again.
They had a couple of shots without me in the morning, so I came in at, I guess I arrived there at like about 7:45.
Okay.
Normally I'm there at like 6:30.
All right. And then anything abnormal in the day? Who handed you your weapon in the day?
Hannah.
Handed it. Okay. And physically handed or put it in the holster?
Handed it to me.
Okay.
She would show me the gun.
Okay.
Or she'd say, cold gun. She'd say, test it, or some language to indicate she handed me the gun, that it was fine. And she'd say, do you want to check? Okay. And I always didn't want to insult her.
See, that's where I'm like, is he saying it to her? Do you want to check?
Which is consistent with an actor.
Go back it up a step. And he's saying she asked him,
do you want to
check?
And he says no because I don't want to insult her. Is that now enough?
I love how our proverbial jury is literally disagreeing on what was just said. This is fun and exciting.
I think this could be played both ways. I think the defense's argument here is he still relied on her. Absolutely. And he had a pattern of relying on her. And so it was natural that he would assume that she had done her job correctly. As a matter of fact, if he had any concerns, he didn't have to because Dave Halls was there and would check the gun for him too. On the opposite side, the prosecutor side, I agree with you, Nate. To me, that sounds like her when he says that she would periodically tell him to check it, right? Or that morning in particular, will you check this gun? I think that goes to he knew of the risk, he appreciated the risk, he disregarded the risk. He intentionally disregarded it.
Well, and let's not look at it in isolation. Before, he's telling the police exactly like, the reason why we check these guns, we're not actually worried about bullets, we're worried about flashbangs. There's a danger, there's inherent danger without the bullets. But now we get to the point where she hands me the gun and she says it's a cold gun. Do you want to check it? Now I'm thinking at that point, generally, if you don't have that interaction, you can say I relied on her. But by him then taking the gun and saying, no, I don't want to check it, I trust you. And his reason for not checking the gun isn't because he thought it was safe. It's because he said he didn't want to offend the armorer. Now,
there's another factor.
Go ahead, Ian.
I was just saying, can you throw up the statute again? Because I want to look at it if you can.
And while you're throwing that up, I don't know if this factors in or not, but the prosecution damn sure did bring it up. And that is that you had two other actors right next to Alec Baldwin who had pulled the trigger, pointed at the ground 6 times every time they were handed a gun. So we literally had 3 main actors, Alec Baldwin and the other 2 leads. They go boom, boom, click, 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 click. Baldwin just doesn't bother. So I don't know if that matters or not, but it could be a factor.
That could show practice that he disregarded. Yeah, that matters.
Yeah, to be honest, I would be on the defense side on this one. Acted with willful disregard for victim safety. Putting aside the demeanor of Alec Baldwin in this clip, which he sounds inherently honest, I think he's treating his role, even if he is a named director or producer or whatever, he's relying on these experts to deliver to him a safe prop for the set.
All right. Well, that's where I think all the other factors are going to come in. Like
I think
his yelling at her, like put it in, fill it now, go, and yelling and the time and a lot of other behavior. So this is where it's going to get interesting. And like I said, I'm personally, I'm torn. I'm not certain. Take mine as a jury view over anyone because I don't know the law that well.
So I think it's a subjective call a little bit almost as to what you label to be willful disregard. Right? There was an email sent to him that he lied about in his interview with Stephanopoulos. That he said he had no knowledge of any issues on set, but he did know until like that morning or something like that. So in the email, he said I had known he thought it was about hotels and not about safety or anything of that nature. That's what he says in the Stephanopoulos interview. But the same email which notifies him about the hotels and complaints about the conditions also cite security concerns. So unless you think he didn't read it all the way through, which just shows him to be which I think a lot of people think he's a complete douchebag, and that perhaps he saw that they were complaining about the living conditions and didn't read all the way through, which is possible. But if he read all the way through, and then he's there in that moment, I think that it's a subjective call. A lot of people would say that is a willful disregard for
on that one, Joe. Though, and I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. I mean, I hate to go back and forth on it but I am.
that's the way you should do it.
You're talking about Lane Looper. Lane Looper wrote the email. He was the camera crew guy who walked,
Right.
him and his whole team. He talked to Alec Baldwin in person, complained to him, then sent the email. Now, I could be wrong, but in fairness to Baldwin, if somebody comes up to you and they talk to you, blah, 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 and then you see an email come in, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I talked about this already. And you might not even read the email until after everything else went down. And again, I don't want to give him an excuse, but I can actually see where he would make an assumption and just not bother with the email.
Well,
I don't know what you guys think.
Then the question comes down, if Looper comes in and testifies that he told him about the safety concerns beforehand, that would be a pivotal factor, you would think, right? As far as whether there's, because I do think that at what point does negligence become willful disregard? That's really what I think we're all hashing over. And I think that perhaps we'll come to that yardstick and then still can come and like, okay, I think this crosses that threshold, and I'm positive that this is what happened. So that would still, I think, satisfy the reasonable doubt element to it. And I really do think that this could go either way. And I don't think we should necessarily be angry at.
No.
Sometimes we'll look at a case going on and you're frustrated by the result. But if this case is properly litigated by both sides, which I anticipate it will be, I think that this is going to be a scenario where we're like, our own audiences will be split on guilty versus not guilty. By the way, I just want to tell you, my oldest daughter, thank God, had a baby boy early this morning.
Oh, congratulations,
Joe.
Thank you.
Yay!
Yeah, it's actually, she's married less than 5 years, and this is her fourth son.
Oh, congrats. That's awesome.
Busy.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Boy.
yeah, the age difference between the oldest and youngest is 3.5 years. So, yeah. So anyway,
Wow.
so that's why I mentioned to you yesterday, Eric. I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to make it. In fact,
Okay.
I'm probably gonna bust out of here in like 10 minutes or so. But I really wanted to weigh in on this topic and
thank you.
just share with you all my excitement. But those are phone calls of stuff I need to do. So I'm probably gonna wrap out of here in like 5 minutes. I just
Well, we
wanted to
may
see
be
you all.
looking at 5 people who are going to be doing this stream next week.
Yes,
Yeah.
Right
yes,
now.
yes.
So we've got Nate, Joe, Kurt, Danny. So
Yeah, all of us. All of us are
all-
going to be streaming it on our own separate channels, and I think we plan on collaborating as well and trying to sort that
We
out.
have a tentative plan.
We have,
Yeah.
and this is something we should probably share with people. I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, but we are the 5 of us are working to collaborate together, and I think that it's probably going to end up becoming some sort of thing where each channel will have their own separate parts and elements to it, and at the same time that we do expect to be spending a great deal of time providing live trial coverage together. I urge you can jump around different ones who you like, because there will be a slightly different flavor in each one, and wherever you feel most comfortable, and perhaps to patronize each of us at some point or another. So I look forward to working with you guys.
We are actually beta testing it now with my fake. This is the fake channel, but it works.
Exciting.
Because it actually can we put the channel on? Oh no, I can't.
yeah, you know what? I can share the screen. Hold on. Let's just share the other channel, and people can see what we're looking at. Okay. I'll share it, Nate. That way there won't be a weird. Okay.
I'm in like inception
I
of
don't know.
inception of inception here.
Okay. Yeah. Let me share. Just bear with me.
So my channel when I was a college professor, that channel is now going up and it's actually live with this show. But the chat from that, because that was one of the issues, whether we can get the super chats and the chats from that channel to be displayed so we can all see it. And yes, it works like a charm. So we can get all the chats, super chats from everybody's individual channel will be displayed here, and then we can go through them all. So when Eric, when he makes a post on that channel, that will actually come up in this chat. So it looks like you're a go.
Okay, so here we go. So we can actually look at it. Sometimes people like the behind the scenes bit on what's going on here, but you can see that I'm sharing that channel now. Nate, can you
keep doing that
in StreamYard on that channel? Take one of my comments and put it up on the screen in the other StreamYard.
No, this is
because this is going to show you the chat there is only on the secondary channel. It's not showing all of our chat, but I'm seeing everything and I can bring everything up here.
Yes. So
but I want to see what can happen.
Everybody now is being flooded because everybody's commenting.
Yeah, guys, can I answer the clarifying question?
All right.
What are you contemplating doing? Streaming? How are you going to do this? One channel will you all stream at the same time?
Yeah. We're all streaming to this channel. So you see the comments coming in, laid back inception, all that. Those are actually being those chats are actually on the other channel. So people have flushed over there and now are flooding that chat, and their chats are coming up on this channel. So as you guys can see, all of our chats will be coming up here, and then I can actually go back to my own channel and just talk to my own people separately. So I don't have to. So I can leave and just go back to my own channel and then answer those chats and have them filtered out just for my people. So that's. But again, we're still beta testing.
Really beta, yeah. It's tricky, but we've got it.
Because the reality, if you're wondering why we're doing it this way, the reality is that we enjoy working with each other.
So I started streaming it on my channel, and I commented, and you were able to bring it up in the thing. Hey, it worked.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So, but then the question is, if someone sends a super chat, will it look as being in here that you'll think someone else's super chat is yours?
Well, you'll be able to know it's your super chat because your channel will come up as your super chat. But here,
if you look in the chat, Joe, see that there's a little link icon next to these.
So there's some mild competition for the viewers, right? Like if you really love
it's not mild, it's aggressive.
Me more than Joe, then obviously you'll come on my stream and donate on my stream because then the money goes to me. If you want to support Joe and his stream, you would go to Joe and support Joe. What's important though is that when we're all together, we can show your super chats. So for temporarily for this trial only, I am suspending the rule on my channel about siphoning viewership. So if you want to talk to any one of our panelists on my chat by sending a super chat, you can do that.
Right.
And also too, after or during a break, I can leave from here.
Oh my God, that actually worked.
To my own channel and then answer those super chats just to my audience. Like I don't have to be here with all you guys to do it. So that gives you that also, because I can leave here and just go back. Somebody just super chat. Oh, that's Kurt super chat.
Yeah, I super chatted myself on my channel and it popped up in this feed.
So if you super chat,
look at Kurt so happy.
But that's so confusing now because now we're not going to know whose super chat it is. In other words, if I want to address a super chat that's sent to my channel,
you can. Kurt, can directly you pull it up on yours now? Go to your channel and just pull it up.
I mean, it still shows on my end, so I can see it on my end. It's still on my feed.
You would see it on your channel.
Yeah, it would be your super chat.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is, well, whoever's handling this channel
can pull them up as well.
But you're saying, so this channel won't pull up any of them?
I pull up everything. This is the central stream. It gets 100%.
No, I like this plan because everyone's super chats get acknowledged. So everyone gets validated, but everyone keeps the money from their own channel. So it makes sense. Correct. I like it. It works fine.
Yeah. Okay, look, I'm sure it's all going to work.
It'll be fine.
And what I anticipate, because we like working with each other, and we know that people like seeing a panel, but also sometimes I find with my chat sometimes that they want to hear just me talking individually, and I'm probably going to be alternating.
Okay.
And I'll be spending a great deal of time with this entire group.
All right. So but in the feed for this channel, when I super chat it, it shows me with a little link icon
Correct.
within it. So it shows you, it
I
shows
know
everyone
that
else
it's
that the
not
super
local.
chat didn't come natively from here. It came from external.
Correct.
So it came from somewhere else.
Yep.
So that's nice. All
How
right.
do you, wait, how
Not
do you-
only super chats, but all these chats here are coming from elsewhere. But
Yeah.
we can see that, and you all can see also
Yeah,
the
there's a little link
paperclip.
icon
Yeah, and so it's designating.
in the feed.
I
I
hope
don't know-
everybody
I don't know what
enjoys
you're
this.
saying.
Joe, they can go to your channel and watch the
No,
panel live and
No, we
donate,
got that.
and
He-
then you can see your super chats live, and you know that they are yours.
No, I
From
wasn't
your
concerned. I understood that, Danny.
No,
But
Then
look
what's
at the
the
link.
concern?
What
Sorry,
I
maybe
didn't
I'm-
understand is when you're looking at this channel, whether you would know that it came to this channel or whether it came to other channels, because they're all filtering in through here. That's what
Right.
that was
I
my
see.
question.
Joe, if you
Yeah,
look at the
it will
chat
go-
on the right now, you
Mhm.
should see some that have link icons and some that do not. Anything that has a link icon is coming from another channel.
I don't see
It's,
the link.
it's on their picture. It's like a paperclip looking thing on the picture.
Like this one from Ian. If you look
But
at
you don't
that,
see it when you put it on the screen. Over in the chat, just look in the chat, Joe, and you'll see it there.
When you said hi, this is I don't see. I'm looking for his comment there, Ian's comment, because when I was looking at the super
look at
chat
the
that
last
Uncivil
one from
sent,
Jason.
when I was looking at
Jason-
when I'm looking at the super chat that Uncivil sent, it looks the same as every super chat I've ever seen.
Only when I put it up on the screen.
No,
But
even
actually,
on
look
what
at his icon.
paperclip? I'm looking at the StreamYard.
All right,
thing
so
now.
so inside StreamYard, where it
Look,
says,
I don't need to be the one seeing it. I'm not going to be the one running this
Yeah,
channel,
let me-
so
let
I don't
me-
need to be the one seeing it. If you guys can see it, that's fine. That's fine.
All right.
That's- I just didn't want there to be duplicity because otherwise it starts getting chaotic. So I think that's a healthy thing. Anyhow, we're going to be sorting it out. It's probably going to take us a day or two to actually figure out the healthiest way for each of us to run what we're doing. But we're hopeful that this is going to be like a thing. Like this is going to be hopefully this will be a thing that works beyond the Baldwin trial, and we found the resolution to this conflict of. And this inner conflict of do I stream by myself or do I stream with others, and that we actually reached a resolution which will actually completely change the way trials are streamed going forward.
Yeah,
So
and
hover-
the
hover-
audience
hover-
benefits more than anybody. That's
Hover-
what I
hover the-
really appreciate.
Yeah.
hover
precisely.
the mouse over on the upper right hand corner of the screen, and you see the view counter. If you hover the mouse over it, you'll see it breaks it down by whose channel. So, for instance,
I don't
know
have a
Eric-
view counter on when I'm visiting your stream.
No, right here inside.
On
StreamYard.
StreamYard, Joe.
Yeah.
On StreamYard, go hover
If
over
you
the
hover-
number.
And
And
then
right now,
if you hover
Nate
the number-
Bill
I
has
see live
score.
112:21, but I don't see when I start my own StreamYard, I see a view count as to how many people are
No,
watching.
no.
No,
Joe,
right now,
Joe,
Joe. Right
Joe,
now. Just hover on StreamYard.
Relax,
where
Joe.
Well,
Live
we don't
it
see
is-
it, guys. We don't see it because we're not. We don't.
I gotta
we're
make
not
you
streaming on
admins.
separate channels.
We're
and
not
adding
admins, we
them.
can't
That's
see it.
why we're being
Oh, so that's
confused.
why you see a paperclip. That's why you see all this other
That's why
stuff.
we're not seeing the paperclip, Joe.
Yeah.
But you know
That's
what?
what it is.
That'll be solved because you're all going to be co-hosts.
Right.
So you will see it.
So that explains. So I wasn't me. I was seeing
No,
what I'm
you're
seeing.
good.
I
Joe.
see the
You're good.
paperclip.
I was
I'm just saying,
misunderstanding
I
your
see the
concern,
paperclip.
and now I
I
get
can't
it.
see the view
Yeah,
count.
so,
Okay.
I don't know.
You're
He
good.
is
You're
confused
good.
beyond belief, but I was actually seeing what I'm seeing. You just didn't give me that accessibility.
And also one great thing is that whenever you guys do get the things, you can see like how many viewers are watching from every place. So it says like on my other channel is 4 people, but here it's 1,400. So each one of our channels you can see how many live viewers you have at that particular time.
right.
Uncivil's got 129 now, for instance. So
And
got a-
also
I got a
like
quick
X
question.
and stuff too.
Quick question. What would be the value of watching the main channel with all the accessible streaming? In other words, why wouldn't I just go to Kurt's channel, watch his channel, as opposed
You
to
can.
going?
You can.
can.
You'll be, and that's why we're doing it this way, because you know what? I'm a hardcore Kurt fan. I don't care about you other yahoos.
Yeah.
I'm just going to watch it on Kurt, but he's got some guests with him. It'd be the same as if we all got invited to his channel and then just hung out and did it. It's just giving everybody their option wherever you want to, join from. And even for us, people might not give a damn about our particular channel, but it gives us a little bit of brand exposure, each one of us. So then when they see us later, it's like, oh, you know what? I really kind of like Dani on that stream that I saw with those guys on Kurt. And then it gets recommended in the YouTube feed and people will check it out. So
wait a second. I have a new question, which I hadn't thought of, and we should sort this out.
Hold on. There's one more benefit to this. If Joe is not streaming because Joe has another grandchild being born, what's great is you can go. What's great about that is that you can join the main channel or you can join any one of our channels.
That's
and
correct.
the show is still going. So the
No.
show is never turned
A week-
off if any
Yeah.
one
True.
of us are unavailable.
That's a great point, because a week from
Yes.
today, I'm going to be having my grandson, and God willing, I'll be having my grandson's circumcision that morning. I'm probably going to start
Okay.
late, but I'll be able
So-
to start my stream, share this in, and then just
Yep.
be able to roll. And no one watching my channel will miss anything. So that's a great point, Dani. My
Yep. question
question is this: what if I brought a guest on to my stream? Are they going to be excised from the group thing?
it has to
Or what I-
funnel through here, Joe. Everybody's got to come into here. Like I could bring another
Yeah.
person on or something, but you can't bring it into yours because it's kind of tied. It's like,
So I would click
Once
to
it's
stream this to your
appointed, it's
audience. I'm not creating my own StreamYard link. I'm clicking stream this to your audience.
yes, and you could do that right now, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Which I did,
If you want to test it, yeah.
All right, let's
Yeah,
test.
yeah,
I
so
hope
we-
everybody enjoys this. By the way,
Yeah.
this is how the
Yeah,
sausage
this
is
is behind-
made.
This
in
is very
live
much how
life.
sausage made. Yeah, but yeah, so I logged into StreamYard and I clicked the button to share it, and it is now streaming onto my channel, and that's
So is
great.
mine.
And
So we
I'm
got-
glad
yeah.
that we're doing this, so everybody is getting an idea of the experience.
And I can still see
Uh-huh.
my chat within my chat window. So if I want to, I can go interact with just my chat and talk
Let me
there
go
in that
open my
window.
StreamYard.
That'd
Exactly.
be cool.
Yeah. So you can just
So,
talk to your
works.
chat and so this gives you the advantage of this is that and let's just be plain. Like for Johnny Depp, it's for one person, for us to all go to one person's chat, and that person's channel all gets all the super chats and everything. Then it becomes like, this. In this way, we all get to interact with our audiences. We all get to have this experience, and we all get the benefits of having the people who support us.
So if I want to, okay, so now I'm just trying to understand this. So now I see the paperclip over that thing there,
Perfect.
and when I see that paperclip,
Because you connected. Okay.
so now I have to click view on YouTube, or
Yeah.
You can go.
Why don't I see the paperclip?
You're not sharing on. Bye.
oh, get out of here.
Eric, what are people going to see when they look at this new main channel? What are they going to actually see on the screen? All of you guys?
Yeah, on the same
Yeah,
side, so-
they
yeah,
just see this just like normal, just as if it's completely
It all looks
normal.
the same.
and we're
Yeah.
going to be watching the trial. So
Yeah.
How do what if I wanted to sort of darken myself out here and sort of just like sort of leave like just my face up here, whatever.
Yeah,
and
you can.
tune you guys out and just talk one-on-one with my audience.
You can't do that.
I don't think you can do it. You
Yeah.
can't physically give them sound because that's going to interrupt. You can chat with them. You can go back and forth in your own chat, and it's
But I-
kind of like a private, separate deal. But no, we're the one feed, audio and video.
It's
is
one feed. It's
constant. just
one
constant.
feed to rule them all. You can be
So-
part of the group or you can stream on your own.
Is the
So
only
that's-
way to show chats on the main feed through super chats then?
No, here's a chat. That's from another channel. Here's a chat from another channel. Here's a
Can you
chat
grab
from another
one from
channel.
mine?
I don't know what's yours.
I
Did-
just pressed share or stream on my channel.
No, I understand, but somebody's got a chat, and I need to know who so that I can pull
Just
it up.
anyone, just highlight one of them.
But he doesn't know who they are.
I
'cause he's
don't
not
know who
watching
they
your
are. It
channel.
doesn't
Give
differentiate.
us the name of the person you want us to pull up.
Yeah.
Oh, so I have to give you the specific name. Okay,
Here
I'm
we
looking-
go. Hello from Danny's. There you go. It's
There you go.
Trenton.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
So it is.
So I don't know how
working.
I don't know how. So I have a real problem here, and I'm just trying to figure out like logistically how this works.
Mhm.
Because how would I pull up a chat and talk directly to someone if I want to do something? Because it seems as if ultimately what ends up happening this way, and there probably is an answer. We just need to brainstorm what the answer is.
Mhm.
But if I see a chat that I want to interact with for 3 minutes, how would I do that without having you guys over talking all of you guys and just
Joe,
literally
go
my
into
thing with them.
StreamYard on your channel, and you might have to have two windows open, but you can type
so
or you can chat with them or talk to them on your channel.
if I open StreamYard up now, will I see this as a thing that I can? I don't have anything
I don't
showing that I'm streaming right now on StreamYard.
Same.
I do, because it shows a little check mark in the upper right corner with my icon. There's a little check mark that shows that I'm logged in and with the YouTube, so it looks like that's showing me.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to dig more into it. You should. Wow. Well, thank you for 5 Dani
thank
Ahn
you guys,
memberships.
Emil.
See, there you go.
Thank you, Brian Gibson. You guys rock. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't really, unless, so the other way to do this is if I were to start my own StreamYard right now, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we should try this out. If I start a live stream, I stop streaming here, and then I share my screen.
You might be able to do that,
guys, because I definitely want to have some time during my stream, even the way I'm even sharing like some of the stuff, because some things I'll do sometimes is if I see that there's testimony that's coming up that is playing in a certain direction, I might even sometimes just sort of pause for like 20 seconds and underscore for my audience the significance as to as to the testimony that's coming up here and what we should be looking for. The reason I do this, not everyone, I don't know anyone else who does that, but the reason I do that is because I feel like now when they're watching it for the first time, instead of me explaining afterwards, this is what you just saw, they're appreciating it as they're seeing it unfold, as we're all seeing it unfold together, and they're watching it with they're watching it happen with the same understanding about the significance of the moment that I have. So that's why I'll be like, I don't mind if I finish my show 60 seconds after everything ends. I'd rather my audience comprehend it while it's actually happening in real time. So, but I wouldn't do that to you guys, even if I was running this, which I'm not. And I wouldn't be able to do it if I'm sitting here, as someone. And that's why I sort of feel like I need to be streaming it myself and then share this with my audience for when we're going to be overlapping with each other. Am I being clear, or are you guys confused by what
I kind of know what you're saying. I think there's limitations in it. I mean, it's like you're wanting to be two things at once. You want to be a solo stream and you want to be a group stream.
I want to be able to alternate. I really want to be able to alternate. Yeah.
I'm not sure that's possible.
Hold on. Joe, what if we set up separate streams that were just running and showing the trial? And then if you wanted to hop into your own channel and have a little one-on-one colloquy with your chatters, you would just say, hey, I'm going over to my other stream here for a minute. I'll be back in about an hour, you guys. Thanks.
Yeah,
and then
maybe you can do that. So maybe you could do
sponsor issues too with this, though. So keep that in mind.
Right. No, I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this in a way that I'm able to give my audience what I'd like to give them as much as possible. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop streaming over here now. I'm going to start a new stream and then figure out if I share this stream.
But just so you guys can see, this stream that I just put on.
I'm sorry. Go ahead and put it up.
This I just put on stream. This is actually not here. If you see, it's only me inside on the bottom of this. And so this is the back end of StreamYard for that other channel that we're testing it on. So
He's loving this.
So it's only me in there.
Right. And notice that you've got fewer chats, right?
Yeah. Because
okay, so you could, if you type into here, Nate, like go answer somebody's chat.
Thank you, Ian.
So if I stop doing this here, create my own live stream, and then share this back end, wouldn't that resolve everything? And that way I could stop sharing this back end whenever I'm so inclined.
I don't know. I think we're starting to get into some.
Yeah, we got to test it out.
Deeper levels.
Well, that's why I'm trying this. I figured this is the best time to test it out. We're all here. We're all like,
with an audience. So I hope the audience likes it.
But we're gonna have an audience at some point. I mean, it's for their benefit.
It doesn't make sense to me that it can be done, Joe. From what I'm thinking about the technology, multiple reasons. One, because it's kind of splitting it, trying to be two things at once. Two, if there's a sponsor involved, the sponsors are dependent on every single eyeball being tied into the stream being duplicated out, and that's all factoring in. Am I wording that correctly, Nate?
Yeah. If we do land a sponsor, then the thing with the sponsor is that they get exposure on all our channels. So so that would be something that we'd have to consider.
Okay, and look, if that's the reality of it, that would factor into like, you know, that I would certainly. You can also read the sponsorship when we're all here. You could sort of have set up. We can have set up. We can have set up that will all be joined together at certain times when you're expecting to do a sponsorship read. That way, they know that they're getting those benefits, and that wouldn't be constraining us in any other way, other than like, okay, at 10:30 we're all going to be here, or the first 5 minutes after the lunch break. That's when you're going to do the sponsorship read. And that way, we can all know to be together for that particular point in time, and that would resolve that issue. I certainly don't want to hurt any sponsors.
No, I definitely agree. But I honestly think at this point in time, and this is just again my opinion. And please, no one. First thing I want to say is there's no hard feelings if anybody doesn't want to do this, because it just is what it is, right? But the second thing is that I think we all are going to have to. There's a give and take.
Ian's kind of like, how did I get dragged into this?
But I think with the give and take here, you're going to lose some of that independent solo stream for this. So and I think everybody's got to make that determination. Is it worth it to stream with this group, or is it worth it to stream individually? And I think, I don't think the technology is good enough right now to give us the best of both worlds. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I and you could be correct about that. The other question I had is, what if I wanted to have an individual guest, like, to be streaming with me? That's impossible.
You can't do that. Yeah, because this is a group collective stream.
I've spoken with Andrew Branca in the past about having him for this trial, and I haven't really confirmed with him since then. So I don't know if he's free or interested or whatever. But I've enjoyed streaming with him in the past, and if he wants to participate, I don't know. I wouldn't want to carve him out. So I don't know. Maybe I would bring him in here. I don't know what I would do.
Others, we could potentially have others in here, but then there are some actual technological hard limits.
Right.
6 streams. That's a limit. It's a technology hard limit.
Right.
So we could have 10 people in this stream.
But only 6
But
streams.
it's only going out to 6
So
places.
Branca can't restream, but
right,
you would
he
be
could
able-
join, but he can't restream. And I don't want to shortchange anybody on that, but I'm just that's why we came up with the number that we did. It's
right.
a hard
No, and this
technological
is very innovative and potentially,
Which is just as well, by the way, because any
and
more than that
groundbreaking.
becomes difficult with so many people talking. So it's probably good that it's limited to 6, to be quite
And
honest.
look how many super chats are coming in just from us testing this month.
So what I'm going to do is this, just to let my
And
audience,
none of them are coming here, guys.
just to
None
let
of them
my
are coming
audience
to
know,
Layback Law.
I'm about to end it this way, and I'm going to restream it myself and try sharing this stream and see how that works. So if you can just give me, I'm just letting those who are watching on my channel to give them that heads up that I'm about to end this right now, and I'll restart up in 2 minutes. It'll be a new stream for you guys on YouTube. So let me cut that out. This is so great to test this out like this, and to the audience who's watching.
My audience, are you guys okay with me doing that too? I don't want to lose everybody, but I do want to try this one time before we do this. I really should have a second channel. That's a great idea.
Yeah, my second channel all of a sudden is getting subscribers and views. We're like, why are people watching?
Oh
this?
no.
The 210 people watching on my channel are enjoying watching this little show unravel, so it's been fun. The drama's real.
Baldwin test too.
Well, I mean, it's just great. I mean, right now we have Nate Bro has 4 viewers. I've got 195 on X. 1366 are watching on Layback Law. 209 on Uncivil Law. 62 on Danny. 293 on Joe. And these numbers add up. I mean,
there you go. Making
because-
progress, baby.
And it's a lot of it is if we can get the sponsor, because that we're all splitting out a sponsor fee if we get them.
I have my own StreamYard set up. I'm ready to go. I've named it Baldwin Test 2. Now what do I do? Do I open it or do I wait? How do I work this?
Can you repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
So I have Baldwin Test 2 set up.
Okay.
I'm about to enter the studio on my own separate stream through StreamYard this time.
Okay.
What do I have to do?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what are you trying to do exactly? I just want to make sure I understand.
You're trying to create 2 streams at the same time?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so if this is going to work, then you're going to enter the studio that you just created
And share this
and
screen.
see whether or not you can also
You guys
broadcast
don't hear them.
simultaneously on
Right.
that stream. And if
Share them.
you can, then you would just have to mute yourself and stop the cam on whichever stream
Okay.
you're not talking to at the time. As you're
Okay,
flipping between
so
them.
that's the only way to do it then?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to have a private, because if you want to have the ability to just talk just by yourself or whoever you bring into your stream, then yeah, you're going to need a simultaneous private stream for just you and your chosen few, and then you'd have to stop your camera and mute yourself on whichever stream you're not speaking on, so you avoid crosstalk. That's the only way I can think to do this.
So this is what I'm realizing, because I'm as we're testing this out now. I'm now streaming separate. I didn't restream from you guys. I started my own stream, and I am streaming to my audience. So I'm going to ask my audience first and foremost: does this have echo audio? I don't know if there's a vibration audio because it's twice. But the other thing the other problem I have is this: I don't know how I would share. I can only share one screen at a time. So if I am sharing it this way, I don't know how I would share you guys and share the trial. See what I'm saying? I'd be forced to use your feed of the trial. That's the way it would have to go. And then if I break away from you guys over here, so in that case, I would simply mute myself over here. I'm going to be talking for a second. I'm muting and just talking to my audience. So as we run this test, it'll just be 10 seconds.
Yep. So Dani has successfully created a second private stream, and she's, I think, rebroadcasting the entire panel. And the entire group has gone quiet. All right. Exciting.
So I'm listening to Joe run the test.
I don't see any reverb problems, Dani. It sounds fine to me. I'm good.
Everybody sounds pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, I think it's working pretty good, Dani. It sounds like you got your separate group, and you are in fact muted, and I can't see you within the group. I cannot see you within the group or hear you within the group, but I can hear and see you within your own private stream, which I also have set up in a separate window because I'm just that good.
And the same for Joe. And the same for Joe. So this is the answer.
The only so this has gone well so far. This has been a phenomenal test. This is really good.
This is the answer.
Yeah. The only question I have is how I would...
Dani, you might have you can hear it twice because you still have the other window up.
I might need
to. So you're still hearing the audio from that window.
Yeah, you got to play the mute dance.
So you guys know how would I mute you might have to leave from my audience.
Come back.
How do you mean, Joe?
Meaning, let's say I go solo, right? I basically go dark over here and mute myself over here, which I was going to mute myself, right? So now I don't want my audience to hear you. I just want them to hear me. But like when Kurt's talking,
go to settings on the bottom of StreamYard.
Ooh, okay. Also go to audio. In Chrome, you might be able to mute it by muting the tab.
Mute the tab. You can mute the tab, but I was going to say go to audio.
Oh, so
that you just mute the tab in Chrome, and that way you won't hear it.
How would I do that? When you say Chrome, I'm in Chrome. So where
right-click the tab.
Okay, so
there's a lot of tabs.
I just muted
the one that you're on, the live tab.
Broadcast.
You see what I'm the live tab?
The one you're on right now is live. It's going to be the foremost tab.
The one I'm on is live.
The top,
here's the problem. How do I mute it so that I don't hear two streams going at the same time if I'm also rebroadcasting?
We understand. You're asking, we're telling.
I'm on two StreamYards. You're telling me on the tab, and I'm on two StreamYards here. So
if you're getting audio,
Joe, the one that you're on,
you have to mute yourself in the tab so you don't get the audio twice.
The one I'm on with you, okay.
Right click the tab and look. Mute tab. So literally an option, mute tab.
Yeah, that works great.
So I can mute myself on both tabs. I can mute myself on one tab and rebroadcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I can't do is mute your guys's from the live broadcast.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, you can mute the audio in the live broadcast so you don't hear it.
So what I did for the live broadcast
in the tab
I went to
change the speaker.
I just went to settings.
That works too.
Audio speaker.
Yeah,
that works too.
That's actually the best way.
Wait, what was the best way? What was the best way?
On the bottom of the screen, Joe, click settings.
On the bottom of the screen, click settings.
Click settings.
Okay.
Click audio.
Audio.
Now go to speaker. Second item down and choose something else.
Oh my gosh, this is genius.
So I click something else. So now you won't wait.
And
Speaker.
now I can talk on both streams at the same time.
Oh, for
Yes.
the love of God, Dani! She's like she found ice cream.
Yes, it
You
worked.
got we all found ice cream with this.
Hold on, but I didn't find my ice cream yet. So wait, I want to get rid of you guys. This is adjusting my mic, and you're a speaker, so I would adjust you if I take this.
The speaker is going to you what you hear. So when you change the speaker to external or something, just dump it. Dump it to something you don't hear.
Oh, Joe found enlightenment.
Did you get ice cream, Joe? No.
I got ice cream.
All right. So
Damn.
All right, so now you can have both your private stream and the group stream all at the same time. Now everyone's happy all at once.
Yes. Yes.
But now we should
my
formalize
God.
this to make sure everyone knows how to do this.
Oh Lord.
So
I'm gonna screw this up. I'm gonna.
yeah,
I'm
but
sure.
but just
We'll
because
figure
we found out, like we've gotten to the point, but now we gotta kind of somebody maybe have to write this down and say
So,
these are the
so
steps.
what
that
I
you
need to do
this.
when it comes time, if I
So do we know exactly how to do this now?
yes, I know how to do it.
All right, all right.
sorry, I just muted my other stream. So Joe, when
Right.
it comes time, we just need to turn off our cameras. Joe, we just need to turn off our cameras and let them know that we're going to be going to the other stream. I can't hear you guys though. So
Yeah, because
when
Joe's
I'm
talking
doing
to his
this,
other
I
stream.
have to either turn off the speakers, change the speakers, or just not hear you guys.
Yeah. Joe needs ice cream.
All right.
Right.
Well, folks, that's a great point to wrap up on. And I think we know what, hey, what does everybody have coming up? Well, we know that everybody in this stream has the Alec Baldwin trial coming up. And other than that, though, Nate, what do you have coming? Joe, you're muted, so prep
This
yourself.
is genius. Oh my God, this is
Well,
so
first,
good.
I know I'm a genius. That's why I came up with this idea. But what do I got coming up? I got I have guys, I have some more videos. I got another college student who was charged with blankety blank against a woman. Then the video comes out, and the video shows that she was actually the aggressor to him, and a judge let him off. And the school, which was USC, decided to expel him anyway. So
when you say let him off, you mean the judge found him not guilty?
Yes.
Because let him off kind of makes it sound like, you know,
the judge found that the evidence wasn't even sufficient enough to get to reasonable suspicion, let alone probable cause.
Okay.
So he was released. He's a free man, but the school says no, and there was a whole trial. So we're going to talk about that and how he eventually got off. So it's a fascinating case about how, and it really stands for the proposition: if two people are absolutely at a bar, drunk out of their mind, and have sex, who should be charged with an offense? And in this case, in California, they say whoever is the aggressor should be charged. And in this case, the female was the aggressor, but she wasn't charged. It was the male who was charged because of, you know, the way society is now. So that's what I got coming up.
The female was the aggressor.
All right.
But the male was charged because of
I hear myself. Everybody's playing with the stream.
I'm starting a betting pool on the over/under of this actually working out versus it descending.
Whoa, stop. Somebody stop it.
That's Dani.
Danny.
Danny. Mute you, Danny.
Actually working out versus. See what I'm saying?
There we go.
There you go.
But if all else fails, I'll just mute people.
She doesn't have the earphones in, Kurt. Relax.
No, I know.
I couldn't even get out the sentence about the betting pool before it descended into chaos. So yeah.
I muted myself. What?
No, you weren't muted, and we were hearing ourselves through your other stream or whatever you're doing. But it's gonna have some growing pains. I love this. By the way, the ultimate experiment is everybody can check their own super chats now, and they'll know, hey, we all got super chats on this laid back law stream.
Yeah, and you can go back and go to your own stream and read your super chats, and then come back here and talk of a great moment that you want to talk to your own. This allows you to dip in and out. This is this is it, and no one else is doing this. We're gonna kill it.
Yeah, it should be great.
All right.
fun.
So,
This is so cool.
Joe, what do you have coming up?
Joe is he's
All right,
loving
we're just
on
going to let him
over
go.
there.
I
He's
cut
on
him off
his
anyway.
back. He's on his channel.
Danny, what do we have coming up?
Well, let's see. Later on today, I'm going to be doing Chevron deference before I head out to the hot springs and go and do some paragliding.
Nice.
Go and check out. It'll be a lot of fun. I also want to do some judges behaving badly, like rando stream, where I just kind of go cray cray this weekend. And then sort of as a lead up to Baldwin, I think it'd be good to go over the evidence and stuff. So I'll be doing that probably on Sunday. But that's pretty much it. We're just having a great time over on my channel as always, and you're all welcome as always, except for that one person who hates me. You're not welcome. Actually, you
Okay.
are. Just it helps me in the algorithm. Come check me out. Leave me a down vote, I guess. That's fine.
Okay.
The haters are great. The haters are like the biggest fans.
Nate's like
I
the
watch
biggest
it on my
channel here.
channel.
Kurt, what do you have going on?
Yeah, so I'm probably going to be doing the U.S. Supreme Court case dealing with the White House's alleged interference with social media, because I didn't quite understand the decision in that case. So I'm probably going to be breaking that down later today to try to figure out exactly what's going on in that case. And then after that, probably going to be playing some Super Mario World and possibly some ROM hacks. Could be fun.
I don't mean to cut the line, but I just realized, oh my God, my family's going to kill me. There's a million things I have to take care of, and I haven't even started.
Yeah, we're cutting it off anyway.
Yeah, and I know everyone's rapping. I'm jumping off. I will see you all at the
later,
Baldwin trial. God bless you all. Thank you so much. And yeah,
See ya.
phenomenal weekend. Ciao.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.